Welcome to DTFA Podcast. I'm Kate.
I'm Elle, and today we're discussing Throne of Glass chapters 31 through 40.
We're also going to talk about the recent Fourth Wing Amazon series news, but we're going to wait until the end so that if you don't give a shit, you don't have to listen. The main takeaway I had from the news, as much as I'm excited about it, I'm also like, how do we have no updates for ACOTAR, the book, or really the series, or no good updates? There's an update to the Hulu ACOTAR show. The showrunner that was originally attached to it, Ronald D. Moore, says that he's no longer involved. I think that was just at Comic-Con, so not that long ago he said that. But it's just because he's left Disney for Sony. But it's just crazy that project has been going on for so long that people are like changing jobs.
I mean, maybe it's a good thing. Like, maybe they'll get somebody new and things will really start moving.
That's what I was thinking. And I know that Ronnie is, my good friend Ronnie has shortened it. He's the Outlander guy. So I liked him attached to it because I think they've done a very good job with Outlander. But I would love to see a woman as the showrunner for this project. It just feels like it should be led by a woman. But,
yes.
And Sarah was seen hanging out with Reese Witherspoon in Faith Hill. I don't really know what that was. But
that's wild. Okay.
I have my fingers crossed because maybe Reese produces it. She has a production company, or maybe like Faith Hill is an actress. Maybe they're going to be involved. Maybe they're just friends and they're hanging out. So I don't know. It was on Faith Hill's Instagram story.
Ooh.
But also with just TV news, I saw that Discovery of Witches, which we talk about all of the time, is going to be on Netflix with a lot of other AMC Plus shows, which is great because you very selfishly got rid of your AMC Plus. So I no longer have it.
Oh, no.
But Discovery of Witches, Interview with the Vampire, and Mayfair Witches are all coming to Netflix August 19th. Well, and we liked Mayfair Witches. Right?
Yes.
We definitely liked the first couple of it. Got a little weird.
You don't want to look up the actual books.
Oh my God.
Because it ruins the plot for you.
Yes. But actually, and it's also, it has some very dark.
There's some very dark connotations. Yeah. So maybe season 2, they'll do more with it. I don't know. We enjoyed watching season 1.
I liked Interview with the Vampire, but you did not, which is weird because there were two very attractive men.
It was good enough. I just wasn't feeling the main characters, I guess.
He would actually, I think that main character, I guess it's Lestat, would be a good Tamlin. You know what I'm talking about? Like with the blonde hair?
Yeah.
You don't sound
looked
convinced.
Like it.
That was lackluster.
Well, I didn't think he was as hot, but
man,
it's okay. It's okay.
Tough crowd.
Somebody different for everybody.
I saw Twisters last night, and now I'm convinced that Glenn Powell should be like Therion or Ethan.
I could definitely see him. Now I'm trying to think what character he could be.
He has so much riz. Like, he carried that whole movie. First of all, I don't know where the main female character is from, where that actress is from, but I have to imagine she's like British or something because her version of an accent from Oklahoma is just it's like she's trying to be Southern.
But like, is it more like Foghorn Leghorn like we were laughing about?
It's not like out. Molasses, but it's kind of cartoonish. But the movie was, it's like, what's better than a Twister? Twisters, and oh my God, is that tornado on fire?
I love the OG Twister, so I'd watch it.
It has a lot of callbacks to that. I didn't notice any cameos, which I thought was kind of weird. Like, I wondered why, like, Helen Hunt didn't play her mother or something.
Yeah, just something. Oh, that's.
But I really liked it, and Glenn Powell was amazing, and he's just, and the soundtrack is really good. Like, even if you're not into country music, it is like, you feel like you're in Oklahoma chasing tornadoes.
It hits different.
It's different, yeah.
Well, after all that, I'm actually kind of scared to ask what your book rec is this week.
I'm so glad that you asked.
Okay.
This week, I'm saying with my whole chest, with both tits, Morning Glory Milking Farm. A Minotaur romance had no business being this cute. Like, I did not go into it expecting it to be like a really cute rom-com, and I downloaded it for like a silly little video we were doing for Instagram where the premise was like, if you're in a car accident but then your audiobook keeps playing and it's playing Spice. And so I did it. I downloaded it just to be able to play it for that, but then I was listening to it and I was like, I wonder what the context is for this. And I listened to it a little more, and then I ended up reading the entire book. So
okay.
And the premise itself is surprisingly relatable for a Minotaur milking book.
Uh-huh.
There's Violet. So speaking of Fourth Wing, there's Violet, and she's a broke millennial. She's overeducated and underpaid. The job market is shit. She's in a ton of debt. She's about to move into her parents' basement.
Oh,
It's
no.
looking very bleak. There is one place that's hiring, and there's good pay, and there's no experience needed, and there is one catch. The clientele is grade A certified prime beef. That's right. She is milking minotaurs for science. So this is a pharmaceutical job. I didn't see that coming.
Yeah, milking. Okay, got it.
Well, you're probably like, okay, minotaurs. I can picture that. So the body of a man and the head of a bull, like in mythology, but wrong, you stupid bitch.
Great.
Their dicks are as thick as I don't know why I'm whispering. Their dicks are as thick as a Coke can, and they produce 24 ounces of hot milk. Okay, think about no.
Oh my God.
24 for science. So her first client, Rourke, starts requesting her for his milking sessions.
Client, okay.
She's a professional. And then they start seeing each other outside of the farm and he's kind of actually out of her league. Another crazy thing I didn't see coming.
So wait, I'm confused. You were describing him earlier. Does he actually have a minotaur head?
Yeah. I mean, have you seen the cover?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. Just checking.
It is so spicy, and the dirty talk is like next level. Like I'm like, whew. But it's also kind of sweet. Like Rourke is a gentleman, and well, he's a gentleman in the streets, but in the sheets, he will like rip you apart with his bullcock. So you can.
Oh my God.
If you've never tried a monster fucking book, I don't know if there's a better name for that genre.
Okay.
But this is a good one to start with. And if you want more monster fucking wrecks, you have come to the right place because I know a lot. We here at DT Fae Podcast, we stray further from God's light every day with every read. Some of the ones that I liked, A Deal with the Demon. That's Katie Robert, and especially I liked The Dragon's Bride, and I've talked about A Soul to Keep and Ice Planet Barbarians. I've read like 50 of those, and I have Monstrous Matches on my TBR. I haven't read those, but if I like it, I'll make it a book rec in another week. But there's also a few orc romances.
Orcs?
Yeah. I mean, don't act like that one orc with the high pony and the white hand of Isengard was not like, kinda?
No. Oh God. Okay.
You know which one I'm talking about though, right?
Yep. I know what you mean.
And I mean, good job, good benefits. He rose up the ranks. There's also a lot of good gargoyle romances. And which you did just recommend. They don't stay gargoyles. Some do.
But they did have a sex scene where he did stay gargoyle. It's apparently how they mate.
So yeah.
Just in case
you're not better than me. But
okay.
Gargoyles is the perfect segue into Throne of Glass because gargoyles.
But these are less sexy.
Yeah, I don't think anybody's fucking these gargoyles.
No.
Yet. We don't know. Maybe there's fanfic out there. But before I forget, the platform we use for the podcast, they added this fan mail option, which is really great. So like anytime, I think on Apple Podcast and on Spotify, it'll say like send us a text, and we've been getting those messages, which is great. It doesn't have any sort of option to respond. So like someone asked if they were safe to listen if they haven't finished the Throne of Glass series. Like they're only on like the third book. And yes, so we are taking Throne of Glass one book, one chapter at a time. So we are going to be talking about Crescent City and ACOTAR as it relates to Throne of Glass, but we won't be talking about future things that happen in this series, if that makes sense. So it's like a safe space for anyone who is reading Throne of Glass for the first time or just wants to follow along.
There won't be any like spoilers.
Right. Maasverse connections, but no big spoilers.
Yeah. So we pick up in Throne of Glass, chapter 31, with Elena standing at the foot of Celaena's bed.
Which is a fucking nightmare. A ghost standing. It's like your, what do they call it? Your sleep paralysis demon.
Yeah.
Basically.
Celaena isn't sure if she's dreaming, especially after that, quote, dream when she visited the tomb.
The first queen of Alderland is there to remind Celaena that she must win the King's Champion tournament. But like, yeah, bitch, I was planning on it before I even met you. I wasn't planning on losing. Why do you think I'm here? I'm here for my
I
freedom.
mean, like, duh. She's winning for her freedom, not whatever this mystery evil is.
Elena warns her to keep an eye on her right, and
I mean, okay.
okay, what's this bitch's obsession with eyes? One, but also with being cryptic. Like, just fucking
Just
tell
I don't
me.
know why she can't just, like, but books are always like this.
Oh,
Just
like
tell me
all
what's
the
going
series. Like,
on.
just tell me.
We get another timeline update. It's been 2 weeks since Samhain, and in
I'm
that
like so impressed every time you say that.
thank you so much. Watch one of the listeners be like, "You're saying it all wrong."
I it sounds right to me.
Okay. We're gonna go with Samhain. If I say it wrong, don't tell me. And in that time, Celaena passed yet another test, which was knife throwing, and another champion was found dead 2 days ago. Honestly, shouldn't they be a little bit more panicked with how many champions are being found
I
dead?
think it's because which champions they are, they're kind of like, "That
But
guy
also,
sucked."
I'd be like, side-eyeing Chaol, like, "You still haven't figured this out, really?"
I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that Chaol is not actually great at his job.
Bless him. He
I think
thinks
that
he
he's
is.
trying, but what we learn at the end of this book about something he's never done before, I'm kind of like, "You don't have a ton of experience," and he's kind of a nepo baby. Dorian was like, "Hire my friend," and, like, that's the prince,
But
so
really, you also don't know where the king is right now, so
he does not know.
missing something for your job, but we do find out that Yulemas I was about to say Yulemas. Yulemas is a month away, the final duel 5 days after that.
There are 13 remaining champions at today's test, which is identifying the poisons in 7 goblets. That gives me anxiety just thinking about.
Yes.
Then they have to arrange them in order of the least to the most deadly, like least being closest to them, and then it moves away to the most poisonous.
I mean, it's easy enough until you have to drink from the goblet that you've chosen as the most harmless.
They have antidotes, which I'm kind of surprised they did that much, but still, like, you're going to experience the side effects before the antidote can kick in.
Ugh, that sounds rough. And with poisons like hemlock, belladonna, bloodroot, monkshood, and oleander, the side effects are really severe. For bloodbane alone, the side effects are vivid hallucination and disorientation.
Stick a pin in that little fun fact. Did you ever read The Bonds That Tie? Oleander makes me think of that FMC. I don't
Oh
know if we've
no.
recommended that yet. It's a reverse
I think
harem.
you may have way, way,
Did
way
I?
back, but we may have to revisit that.
Yeah, it's a very dirty one.
Okay.
Anyway, Celaena is like sniffing and swirling like me with Arbor Mist. Like she's not completely ignorant when it comes to poisons, but she's not confident.
That's not her forte. And with 2 minutes left, she and the rest of the champions are feeling the pressure.
Except for Paylor, the gangly young assassin we know is a poisons expert. Apparently everyone else has forgotten that because Celaena is really the only one that remembers and is kind of paying attention to him. I would be looking at him, like, as soon as they said poisons, I would be watching him.
Yeah, well, they kind of count him out because he's not the best at basically anything else.
No.
But he also just so happens to be seated to her right.
She follows his lead, putting the water glass at the very end of the spectrum. She just kind of like cheats off his test. The most poisonous, is the water, and then the wine glass is what she puts closest, and that's the one that she is going to drink.
So everyone is guzzling antidotes, including Kane,
LOL.
lol, until it gets to Celaena and Paylor.
And that's when Dumbledore comes around the corner and he's like, "Did you put your name in the goblet?" No, I don't know why, but that scene is always so out of place and dramatic.
It is very dramatic.
"Did you put your name in the goblet of fire?" And
That's a little bit of the southern version. Did you put your name? Got it. Celaena and Paylor are the only two who have their glasses in the correct order, which makes them the winners.
well, I mean, really, there was one winner and then there was one
Copycat.
cheater. Even Elena was telling the truth. Even if she was telling the truth about this whole look to your right thing, Celaena still isn't like, I'll become champion to serve some ghost agenda. Like she's like, she sees that Elena helped her and she's like, okay, but we're not gonna like jump on this mysterious evil I'm supposed to be finding, especially when she's not even being forthcoming about her agenda of like, we don't know what the evil is. We don't know what it's going to take to kill this evil. Like, she just doesn't have any information.
Well, and people, like, even if they're champions that we don't care about, they do still keep dying in back hallways. And I think I'm just kind of surprised we aren't more concerned with that.
Mhm.
Even if they're bad guys, I'm like, something is eating people in this castle.
Yeah.
Just throwing that out there. Later, Celaena and Nehemia are taking a stroll through the castle after cutting their lessons short. The two are spending an hour before dinner every day teaching and learning the common tongue in Eyllwe.
Nehemia can tell something's up, which, I mean, Selena's getting no sleep. She probably looks like shit. And when she is getting sleep, people are watching her, creepy, and then another champion is dead. So, like, she's stressed.
Yeah. The two are becoming closer, but they're still keeping each other at arm's length. We don't totally know Nehemia's deal, but Celaena has secrets she refuses to acknowledge even to herself, let alone somebody else.
They wander into the kennels where they find Dorian and the litter of mutts, he always calls them bitches that he mentioned earlier, including a dog that's larger than the others and it has silky, silvery gold fur and a bad attitude.
Oh, poor
Not a bad
baby.
attitude, but just kind of like standoffish.
Yeah. I mean, it's poor baby. It's probably just afraid. Celaena is outraged that Dorian is considering killing it just because it's not suitable for racing or hunting.
He even throws a little jab. He's like, "Oh, do you object to killing now? Excuse me?"
When am I killing innocents? Excuse me.
Right, I'm an assassin for hire. I'm not killing dogs because they don't fit whatever I need them to do.
I mean, that's a little bit of a leap there, Dorian. She's so upset that Dorian agrees not to kill the dog and he'll arrange for a home, and he'll even ask Celaena for approval. If it pleases you, then it shall happen. Oh, thank you so much.
And Nahimia is watching all this and she's like, Do you like Dorian? Check yes or no.
I'd sooner cut out my own heart than love a Haviliard.
And this bitch doth protest too much.
So it's very aggressive there, Celaena.
Celaena is walking back to her rooms with her guards who are starting to follow her at more and more of a respectful distance. And the distance is growing greater each day. So everyone's getting kind of lax, which again, maybe Chaol is not.
I mean, maybe Chaol told them to.
Maybe, or he's not paying attention. She's contemplating that, like whether this is all happening because, Chaol is becoming more and more comfortable with her. She's kind of daydreaming because she now has this way to escape the castle. So she's daydreaming, like, if I escape through that secret door, when Cain, she's, just thinking about this, Cain walks up behind her and his mouth is opening and closing, and his hand with that black ring is around his tick throat. And he's being very fucking weird.
Yeah. Well, it's thick because he's put
Lots
on
of C's.
like an additional 10 pounds of muscle just in the last few days alone.
And it looks like he's stopping himself from saying something. Then he just takes off running, which I picture that scene from Get Out.
Yeah.
When he just takes off running.
It's very like fish out of water. Like his mouth is moving,
Yes.
nothing's coming out, and he's like choking himself. So you're like, what is going on with you?
And then he just starts running. And it's not like she cares about him or is concerned, but it's concerning.
It's weird enough, but it's more that Luigi's Mansion shit.
Yes. And he keeps looking over his shoulder, but he's not really looking at her. He's just looking at something beyond her, like maybe something she can't see.
Yeah, I mean, that's not something I could easily just like let go of.
Yeah, that would
it's
stick
too
with
weird.
you. And yeah, they don't even have cell phones. I would want to text everyone and be like, what the fuck? Or take a video of him.
Yeah.
But so she hits up the group chat and she messages Nox and Paylor, her friends, and she's like, hey, besties, maybe stay inside tonight. Some weird shit's happening.
But really?
Chapter 33 opens with Caltain's POV because it's Brat Summer. She was in the middle of taking a hit when Duke Parrington was announced.
So bless her. She's using eye drops and spraying herself with Victoria's
She's
Secret
like,
pink
oh
body
shit.
mist.
She's like throwing things in drawers, like
he's not
going to
notice
out the window.
But like the reek of opium, come on. But if he finds out about the opium, she'll just blame the headache she's been having lately.
She sees a flash of what Chaol did at dinner. We talked about at the end of the last episode, Parrington's eyes becoming completely black. Fucking scary.
Yeah.
But like Rick James says, cocaine is a hell of a drug.
I know.
She doesn't know for sure what she's seeing.
She did just take a big hit off something.
Right.
But Parrington seems to be baiting Caltain, saying Dorian was commenting how clever she was until that slut Lillian interrupted.
And we know that's a fucking lie because Dorian can't stand Caltain. So like, what is this thick fuck up to? There's a lot. This is thick CK. Kane is thick CC. Just FYI.
Kane is tick.
He's tick.
It's different. She has to do something. She can't risk losing Dorian.
She never had Dorian.
You don't know that.
She's so
The
delusional.
queen is on her side.
That's
She's
true.
spiraling and it's causing a headache, which
Hmm.
thought she was already treating the headache. It's all fuzzy until everything fades into the background when she vows to do whatever is necessary to save the crown and her future.
So this, like,
That really took a turn. Now
right.
it's the crown and the future? Okay.
Celaena's just minding her fucking business somewhere, researching wyrdmarks. It's such a one-sided beef with her and Kaltain. Like, Kaltain put so much thought into Lady Lillian, and Celaena is not giving her a second thought.
I mean, we're going to get more on Kaltain later, but like, no matter what's going on in Kaltain's life, she's so like delusional.
Yeah, she's
Like she's
delulu.
drinking her own Kool-Aid and just like amping herself up. It's weird.
Mhm.
But anyway, Nehemia enters Celaena's room crying and she's holding a letter.
Sam, the first night at bed when you left crying, Ron made out with 2 girls and put his head in between a cocktail waitress's breast.
Oh my God.
Do you remember that?
Yeah, what was that?
Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
They wrote that note anonymously to Sam.
Oh my God.
That's not the note. This is not a funny note, but I couldn't help whenever there's a letter, that's when I picture someone opening a letter. That's what
That was
pops into
such
my
a
head.
callback that I'm like not prepared for that.
But it's actually Nehemia's father telling her a legion of Alderland's army captured 500 Eyllwe rebels hiding on the border of Oakwald Forest and the Stone Marshes.
Yeah, it's not a good letter. It's really sad.
They were being sent to Calaculla
Yeah.
as prisoners of war until some of the rebels tried to escape and the soldiers killed them all, even the children, as punishment.
That is wild.
But now we know where the king, what he's been up to.
Yeah, but how is nobody more concerned about brutality that's right in front? I mean, I guess all of the countries on this poor continent have had to experience it, but like nobody's doing anything.
No.
Celaena holds her friend as she weeps.
I just can't imagine having to walk around this castle and seeing the court is dancing and they're watching acrobats and they're taking hits from their crack pipes and your people were just slaughtered.
And you're
They
not
don't
able
give
to
a
do
shit.
anything to help. And nobody's going to stand up either. Like nobody's standing up to this bully.
Well, and that's why, like, I love Dorian. Dorian is baby girl.
No.
But it is kind of like, man, how do you live with all this and have not taken a stand by now? But then how I understand, like, how would he take a stand? What is he gonna do? But
Well,
still,
I mean,
it's
in the last episode, we talked about how Dorian contemplated telling Nehemia some of the plans that Parrington potentially has for her. And like
Mhm.
after this, I'm like, okay, can you see now? Like,
right.
there's no time to lose. After Nehemia leaves, Celaena is sitting by a window watching the snow with cramps.
The good news is she's healthy enough for her period to return, and the bad news is she has her period again. So, I mean, you expect me to compete in a tournament? I'm fighting for my life with period shits.
I mean, it's actually kind of funny that this is included in the story at all because you're like, what is this relevant to?
Well,
but
at least it's not like other series where
people don't bleed.
well,
Yeah.
that and then some species of different things, it's like, oh yeah, they're on their period for fucking 6 months and they're in pain and
Or they immediately go into
no, what is it? Black
they go into
Dagger
heat.
Brotherhood.
Yeah, and
yes, they're in
somebody
heat.
has to serve her. Sorry. It's worth reading it when they go into heat, but still.
No, that's Zeta's storyline. That's exactly what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Thank
but
you so
not just
much.
Zeta. It happens to somebody else too. But it's so normal here in many ways.
Yeah.
And it's random, but I also appreciate that it's included.
And it's a good sign, like, you know, she's
Yeah, and I guess it's not funny, but it's kind of cute, the sides of Chaol and Dorian that we get to see and their reactions to her.
Yeah, they have very different reactions.
I mean, Chaol, he's like, oh, it makes me sick about the rebels
she's
too.
just bent over and he's like, I'm just sick about it.
Yeah,
too.
she's like, I feel awful. Which is good. I mean, he's not so far gone that he doesn't recognize that for the atrocity for what it was.
Mhm.
But also, it's not the same kind of sick right now. Okay.
It's the most open and honest Chaol has been. It's just unfortunate it's in this moment. He admits that, like, he might have been wrong, and we're not totally sure what he's talking about, but I have to imagine he means in general. Like, I was wrong about the king, about Nehemia, about the rebels, like all of it. And then he starts a sentence. I know you're an assassin, but I was wondering if you wanted to.
I mean, it's too bad because, Celaena is not getting to take in all the things he's saying. And then he starts there and she just goes full exorcist.
And then he's like, he sees it and he jumps back and he's like, oh, wow, you're actually sick.
Oh, you think? He finally puts it together why she's sick and takes his leave, turning red and tripping in the door on the way out. Like, what a baby.
I know, what a baby. But like in contrast, Dorian doesn't really care. Like he visits her later and she's like, "Go away, I'm dying."
Bless him. I love Dorian.
I do too.
And he's like, "Shall I read to you in your final moments?"
I love their banter because Chaol like turns red and trips on his way out, and Dorian's like immediately starts playing along.
But also, like, I mean, Celaena's dramatic, but like, you have to play with it. You can't be so
Right.
intense about it, Chaol.
She does take it a little too far. She throws a book, Sunset's Passions, probably a Minotaur milking book.
That sounds right.
And she panics because she did. Yeah, they're becoming closer and closer, but she just threw something at the crown prince.
Well, because it actually hits him. Like, he's not paying
And she's like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. That was not an attack, Your Highness."
I wouldn't have even like thought of that, you know, at this point because they have so much banter.
Yeah.
I mean, he is still the crown prince, but he'd rather Celaena just call him Dorian. She baits him. You're just like Chaol, refusing to read Sunset's Passions.
She's lying. They have not talked about Sunset's Passions, but Dorian snatches it and he's like, "I'll read it."
She senses him watching her, not in the cautious way that Chaol does, but because he seems to just enjoy watching her.
I love that trope of watching, but the watching I like is more spicy.
Yeah. I just want you to look at me.
She asked, but in reality, when someone's looking at me, I'm like, "What?"
Something on my face?
She asks what he's staring at, and he tells her that she's beautiful.
Don't
Which
be
is, I mean, I'm on
stupid.
my period. Thank you.
I know, honestly, my face is probably broken out right now. I just threw up everywhere, but thank you so much. Dorian.
He's so sweet. But
Yes.
she's like, "Don't be stupid," because it is hard. She's coming from where she came, like who she was raised by, the king of assassins, and then she was in a slave labor camp, and then she's been at like, how long has it been since someone told her she was beautiful?
Well, even then in the past, she probably knows she's beautiful, but she's also been taught how she can use it. So for somebody
Right.
to simply, without her trying to be manipulative, just tell her she's beautiful, she's
Mhm.
probably like, "Oh, thank you." You know, it
And
kind of catches her off guard a little.
And Dorian has never known an attractive woman this long without fucking her, you know, except for that crack whore Cauldron. Other than
Cattain.
that, this is unprecedented, and
He's
he's
excited too.
well, and he doesn't mind it 'cause I think it's usually for him, it's about means to an end.
Yeah.
Like, he doesn't really care about the relationships with the women,
Well,
but
usually
it's
it's a
different with
game.
her. Mhm.
Yeah, and it's now he's enjoying just spending time with her.
I love Dorian.
And Yulemas is coming up the week around it, a time of relaxation and apparently fucking.
Some women don't even wear corsets.
Wow. Gasp. Dorian looks forward to it every year. Of course you do, you perv. Those loose titties. But he can't imagine celebrating after what just happened to the Eyllwe rebels. How can he even look Celaena in the eyes knowing what his father did to Terrasen?
And we've talked, Dorian feels ashamed, like he hates what his father has done, what his father is continuing to do. The world shouldn't be like this, but what can Dorian do? Dorian's wondering what he can do, but he's also not doing anything.
I know, because it's honestly...
It's hard. I understand. What could he possibly do to undermine his father? But I don't know. Warning Nehemia would have been a good...
I mean, that's definitely something you could talk to these people around you that are on your side.
But
you know?
he's looking at Celaena like, God, how could she not hate me? And she's kind of wondering that herself. Like, how could I not hate him?
I really should. I don't hate you, Celaena tells him.
Well, she didn't hate him until he told her that she could not go to the Yulemas Ball, and now she hates him.
Wow. He'd take her if he could. He wants to spend time with her. He thinks of her even when they aren't together.
But he keeps that last part to himself.
Okay. I mean, to be fair, she did laugh in his face when he said he wanted to marry for love. So he's probably going to keep romantic feelings to himself. The clock chimes midnight and Dorian has council meetings tomorrow.
Celaena's like, yeah, give my warmest regards to the Duke. And it triggers something in Dorian because he starts thinking about how the Duke treated Celaena that first day in Dovier. And it makes him burn with cold rage.
I mean, he should be burning with rage.
Put a pin in that.
But yeah, the cold rage, not hot rage. Without thinking, he leans down and kisses her cheek.
It's so juvenile, but I'm like, when I was reading, I was just giddy. Like, I'm usually like, where's the spice?
I mean, he's sitting there and spending time with her and he's complimented her, but it hasn't necessarily felt like he's making a move on her until now he's suddenly close to her.
You know what I will say about Twisters? Not one single fucking kiss.
Didn't even kiss at the end?
Didn't even kiss. No, I think that they filmed it and took it out, but, like, you have Glenn Powell in a cowboy hat and
Somebody's gotta be
Wranglers?
making out with that man. You trying to tell me there aren't women
Missed
attached somewhere?
opportunity.
Ridiculous.
After Dorian leaves, Celaena is having pre-FOMO for the Yulemas Ball. She's like, "I can't fucking believe they're doing this to me again." And I did like, for this whole thing, I kinda pictured the Yule Ball in Harry Potter.
Oh, yeah. All the crystal and
Mhm.
the Christmas trees or the Yulemas trees. At least they don't have to wear robes.
They do wear masks, which sounds dreadfully romantic to
Dreadfully.
Celaena, but it's very Eyes Wide Shut to me. I mean, I'd be down for that too,
That is
but
not the same, but that is really funny. Anne Rice also loved a masked ball, but also, could that be what Chaol was about to invite her to before she projectile vomited?
we'll never know. Have you ever projectile vomited?
I don't think so.
I did when I got my tonsils out, and I came to and I had a very bad reaction to the anesthesia, and I threw up on the nurse. And
Ooh,
I was so sorry, but I couldn't talk, I couldn't say anything.
I have a very big fear of vomit. I will avoid vomiting as much as
I
possible.
think
So
most of us do.
I don't know. Some people just it happens.
I've
It's probably been at least a decade or more since I last
Wow.
threw up.
I
So
throw up when other people throw up. Like, the hot dog
yeah,
incident?
yeah, yeah. We don't have to. Now's not the time.
Oh, DM me if you need to know the hot dog incident.
It's wild.
Speaking of chaos, speaking of chaos, he is creeping on Celaena and Dorian. So they're walking through the courtyard and he's just watching.
Yeah.
Not
Okay.
because he's Jelly Jubilee. His instincts are screaming at him to go down there and protect the prince because, I mean, his prince is down there walking alone with an assassin. But those barriers that he put up, they're kind of melting. Not everything is black and white for Chaol like it always has been, which is probably pretty scary for him. She's an assassin, but she's also just an 18-year-old who is she's her whole life has just been about surviving. First after her parents were killed, then after being taken in by the king of the assassins, then like what job opportunity did she have being raised by the king of the assassins? And then at Endovier, like she's just been surviving. You really can't blame her for it.
I mean, this is why it's really important to get out of your bubble, though. Meet people with different backgrounds, different places, different walks of life.
Take me. I went all the way from Alabama to Tennessee, so I'm cultured. I've lived.
You have.
I've seen. Also, this is why the king is conquering all of these people and suppressing their culture and their history. It's to keep everyone poor and uneducated, to keep them from thinking. So everyone in court is enjoying their free rings that they get at parties and whatever, and they're not thinking about like, holy shit, this is like,
Where did this come from? Who had
yeah,
to die so I
where
could
are we
have
getting
this?
all of this wealth? And it's just,
It's keeping them
it's
distracted.
classic colonizer.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Celaena and Dorian are just on their walk. They have no idea that Chaol's up there having a Menty B. He is spiraling, and they have no idea.
I mean, good. He should. It's been 3 weeks since her last encounter with Elena, and she's made it through 3 more tests, including an American Ninja Warrior obstacle course that ended with Paylor being sent back to wherever he was found.
He never had a shot with that. I mean, it's honestly shocking he made it as far as he
But at
did.
least he made it out alive.
He is lucky because there were 3 more competitors that died. 3 more. That's just crazy. And they were all mutilated and found in hallways. So there are 6 champions left. Celaena, Kane, Grave, Knox, an unnamed soldier, and Renault,
Mhm.
a mercenary who has stepped in to replace Varen as Kane's lackey to torment Celaena.
Nehemia has declined Celaena's invitations for walks after hearing about the rebels, but Dorian seems to be spending more and more time with his champion.
Dorian is, looking at her and he's like, "What's that very old looking amulet that you're wearing?" And we know it's the one that Elena gave Celaena. So she lies and she's like, "This whole thing I found it in a jewelry box," which, I mean, you came from a slave labor camp, but like what jewelry box?
I mean, to be fair, they did give her a whole bunch of jewels to wear around the castle, but Dorian is a history nerd. He used to read tales about the dawn of Otterlin, especially his hero Gavin and the first queen of Otterlin, Elena. In the battle with the Dark Lord, Erewhon, Gavin and Elena found themselves defenseless about him. He was about to kill the princess when a spirit appeared and gave her a necklace, the Eye of Elena.
So Elena's basically like knowing that story that a spirit appeared, she's kind of paid that forward to Celaena.
When Elena put it on, Erewhon couldn't harm her. She saw the Dark Lord for what he was and called him by his true name. He was so shook and distracted that Gavin was about to kill him.
And Dorian has seen some fan art of this amulet, and he's like, and it looks exactly like the amulet that you're wearing.
Uh-oh.
But she tries to play it off. She's like, I got this off TikTok shop. It must be a replica. But it makes you wonder why Elena gave Celaena an amulet that could be so easily recognized. Like, what was this bitch trying to do?
I mean, to be fair, it sounds like that amulet has been lost for centuries. So if it wasn't for the fact that Dorian was a history nerd, maybe Elena could have gotten away with it. I
But,
don't
like, what if
know.
the king had seen it? Like, I mean, who's to say that he also I don't know.
Would he recognize it?
I don't know.
It's hard to say. Right. But like, I mean, what if the king had seen it? She changes the subject to Dorian's nightmare, his little brother Holland, who is thankfully stuck at school until after the spring term thanks to the snow in the mountains.
We'll meet him in the second book, don't worry. Back in her room, Celaena drops a book, and when she bends and snaps, she finds dozens of word marks have been drawn onto the floor beneath her bed with chalk. They form a giant spiral with a mark in the center. I like it. To me, what I'm picturing is if you've ever watched True Detective, that weird little squiggly
Uh-huh.
symbol is what
Yeah.
I'm picturing under the bed, but it's hard to.
Oh, see, and I'm visualizing, I don't know if you remember in Sleepy Hollow when
Yes.
oh shoot, what's the actor's name? Anyway,
Christina
Katrina.
Ricci.
Yeah, Christina Ricci like draws with chalk underneath the
Mhm.
bed with a
Oh,
bunch of
yeah,
symbols to
yeah,
like
okay.
protect him, but he sees it, he's like, "Oh god, what is this?"
Well, and what else have we seen that there's, like they put something under a guy they have a crush on his bed? It'll
I
come
don't
to me.
know. Okay, we'll have to get back to that one. But yeah, the exact mark that she sees is the same thing that had been etched on one side of Varen's body. So she gets
So,
chills.
yeah, she panics, she throws pitchers of water over it, and she's scrubbing the floor until it's clear, and then she heads to the library to figure out what the fuck is going on with the word marks.
She runs into Nehemia at midnight in the
Hmm.
library, reading a big, thick book in the common tongue.
Which she's been taking lessons from Celaena to, quote, "learn the common tongue," but wow.
Celaena's like, I thought you couldn't read at that level. Then you're like every ignorant fool in this castle, Lily. And she
Excuse me?
says, with perfect pronunciation, whoa, bitch, I have been a
I'm
supporter of you. What is your
But
problem?
also, you told me that you don't know the common tongue, so
Am I supposed to call you a liar? Like, I'm trying to help you. It's
Nehemia
wild.
is an interesting character. She
Yes.
stomps away, and Celaena finds a piece of paper that's fallen behind the desk that she was sitting at, and on that piece of paper is a word mark
Oh, really? A word
that she
mark.
knows nothing about.
Right. It's a dead language. It's lost. Celaena goes through all the stages of grief, but think of where Nehemia is from and what her people have been through. She has every reason to deceive them or to plot against them.
Them being the king and the court. And because Lillian, as far as Nehemia knows, we think, she's included in that.
Yeah.
So she's like, "Oh fuck, Nehemia doesn't seem to know who Celaena is. So like, is she a threat to me?
Yeah.
But she's definitely a threat to the king. To who gives a shit? But to Dorian, to Chaol, to these people that she's come to care about."
Yeah.
Celaena doesn't tell anyone about what she found, and she doesn't confront Nehemia about it, but she does spend all of her spare time researching word marks, and she's trying to decipher them because it would be frustrating to see all of these marks. You don't know what they mean, and it's not like you can Google it
Well, and
or.
she also felt like something was off when she asked Nehemia about it in the past, and now Nehemia has shown that she's hiding things from you. So it kind of spurs you on, like, I need to know what this is as much
Mhm.
as I can. Something's going on and I don't know what's going on. I need to know.
I'm fine with living in my ignorance. Like, I would be like, "Oh, well."
You say that, but you're a question girl. You'd
Okay.
immediately, especially if it was a good friend, you'd be like, whoa,
I
what
do
are you
love
not telling
research.
me? We pay too much attention.
Yeah.
So, like, even if you'd love to be like living in ignorance, you still have a moment of like, wait, what? Especially when it's a
I would be
friend.
wearing all of my free rings and be like, "Wait a minute. What?"
Something's different. Celaena passes another off camera test, and the soldier is sent home, leaving only 5 champions left. It's Yulemas morning, which means the final test is in 3 days, and the duel is 2 days after that.
The most notorious assassin in Alderland, living in a castle where people are being murdered on a semi-regular basis, finds a bag of candy. No note, no idea where it came from, and she just starts eating it. She just starts throwing it in her mouth.
I mean, not even like a little bit. She like tips the whole bag over and just like shoves it in her face.
They just did a poisons test.
I mean, she's not even inspecting the candy like the parents in the 90s when everyone thought razor blades were in their Snickers.
She's like, girl dinner.
I'll take it.
Maybe it's from Dorian. It's not from Nehemia. We're fucking fighting. It's not from Chaol. That is not his style. And it's not from the Frost Fairies. The Frost Fairies took Celaena off of her list when she drew blood from another human.
Excuse me? What?
Any other book, I would be like, okay, this is like a Santa kind of deal where her parents were doing this, but when her parents died, it was a little bit of time before she killed her first person. So I guess the Frost Fairies were actually real because the Arobin was not sneaking around stuffing stockings. So
yeah, I have some follow-up questions about that. Frost Fairies.
Frost Fairies are real, and I bet they fuck.
Okay, probably. Celaena is stuffing her face like a Gilmore Girl.
I've been rewatching things. I'm watching and listening and reading to so many ththings at once.
You absorb so much at one time.
Their personalities were like 30% of, wow, look at how much I eat and I'm still skinny. Coffee, coffee, coffee. Like it just, the more I watch it, the more I'm like, God.
The Gilmore Girls,
they were insufferable.
They were like talking at high speed all the time. Like you have to like put the subtitles on to even catch the jokes they're making.
Some of their references, you're like, come on. No way that Rory knew about this movie from the 40s. And
yeah, like, come on.
Yeah. Anyway, sorry.
Poor Celaena. Her teeth are still red from the candy when she changes into her dress for the temple ceremony, and she finds Dorian sitting in her bedroom.
And he has a Prezi for her, a second Prezi, because the 3-pound bag of candy actually was from him. And it's like assorted candy. So I'm like, are there Twizzlers in with the chocolate?
Ugh. Gross. I'm not a mix and match kind of girl. I need like the fruit first and then the chocolate, or like they have to be separate.
I do like chocolate covered gummy bears.
I mean, I do love that she talks about how she like just dumped it on the bed. I'm like, oh my God, it's everywhere.
But
she's
thank
like,
God it was Dorian. It's not like Kane didn't put something in there to paralyze
I know people are dying. You just had a poisons test.
Kim.
But really, that was kind of taking her life in her hands, shoving her face with all that candy. Celaena flips open the basket at Dorian's feet, and she finds that golden-haired dog with a red bow on her neck. Celaena wants her, but with a caveat. She wants her trained and to be allowed to run with the other dogs.
She makes a lot of demands. She's like, okay, this is what's going to happen in Dorian's life. And again, it's like, I don't know if anyone's ever spoken to Dorian the way that she does.
Well, she was demanding of him and how he was going to handle the dog to begin with. And now she was like, fine, but you're also doing this.
Celaena once again marvels at how kind Dorian is. Like, considering who raised him, it really is. And she gives him a kiss on the cheek. And he blushes, which again, this is like whoa, this is like a ladies' man. So it's like unknown territory.
I mean, this boy has fucked around. So the fact that like this girl just gives him a thank you kiss and he's blushing, like he must really like you.
But let's hear about like his hoe phase. We've talked about that.
I'm not sure if I'm ready because he's only now like what, 19?
Well, I just mean like right before this.
Oh, okay.
But we've talked about in ACOTAR, there are so many side stories we want to hear about and read. Number one is when the Bat Boys were all fucking in the same room. I need to know.
There are things that I want to reference for Throne of Glass, but I can't discuss it yet because you guys don't know these characters. Okay. We'll have to discuss off screen because there's a few things that I need to know about.
Well, I need to know.
You could probably guess what I'm talking about.
Probably. I just need to know about the Bat Boys.
Also, yeah, I have some great visuals. Probably really dirty, but there they are. Dorian promises to come visit Celaena after the ball tonight, but as she's thinking about the ball, she's like, Nehemia will be there, and she could be planning something. I should probably wear a really pretty dress and mask, and I should go, for safety.
For safety. Celaena and Chaol sit at the back of the temple, which is built entirely from glass. The limestone covering the floors is all that remains of the original stone temple, which... of fucking course, the king destroyed it. It reminds me of every house in Nashville being torn down for those like personality-less, big cookie cutter, tall and skinny white houses. But I will say that it actually does sound beautiful. The temple, the glass
especially
temple.
Because it's snowing. So you can see
there's
the snow
like
reflecting
snow on
the glass.
And it would be very bright, like with snow reflecting outside, but I think it'd be very pretty.
Oh my God, all of that would be very bright. The high priestess walks onto the platform wearing a midnight blue gossamer robe.
A motherfucking 8-pointed star tattooed on her brow in a shade of blue that matches her gown. Its sharp lines extending to her hairline. Put a pin in that shit because we are going to talk about that.
Oh, yes. The holiday celebrates the day on which the great goddess gave birth to her firstborn, Lumus, Lord of the Gods. With his birth, love was brought into Aurelia, and it banished the chaos that arose from the gates of the Wyrd.
And that's when Celaena falls asleep. But Chaol wakes her up when it's time for this weird parade of children that are blindfolded and dressed like the gods.
Each year, 9 children are chosen, and if they stop before you, you receive the blessings of the god that they're dressed as, and
I'd
you
be
get
like, please don't stop here. Please don't stop here.
but also I'll take a blessing, thank you, and you get a small gift the child is carrying as a symbol of the god's favor.
Duke Parrington, of course, he gets the little mini silver sword from the tiny god of war.
That's on brand.
The girl representing Deanna, goddess of the hunt and maidens, approaches Celaena and gives her a solid golden arrow. I would take that. Like, thank you.
Thank you so much.
It's very foreshadowing with Deanna. We will talk about that. But we also have this Ianthe cosplayer in the robe with the 8-pointed star. Then we have Deanna with the golden arrow. The 8-pointed star is seen all over the Maasverse.
I mean, assuming you've had a chance to read ACOTAR and Crescent City, because Nesta and Cassian's bargain tattoo is an 8-pointed star.
Bryce has that 8-pointed star scar
And of course, it's everywhere in Flame and Shadow.
everywhere.
In the caves of Avalon, where Bryce unlocks Thea's power, the harp was on top of an 8-pointed star in the prison, etc., etc.
And Deanna isn't the only Artemis-coded goddess in the Maasverse. Luna, the patron goddess of Lunathian, is the moon goddess.
Remember the moon cycle tattoo Ianthe has in her midnight blue ink?
And that blue stone that she wears, like the one that Gwen uses to save Nesta in the library.
Mhm.
It's used for protecting and healing, just like the Eye of Elena.
Which is a blue stone.
We can't expand on that yet about what that really is, but we will get to it.
Oh, we sure will. But back to Deanna and Luna, which sounds a lot like Loomis.
Over on Midgard, Luna's priestesses wear a golden waxing, full, and waning crescent moon charm depending on their age, and it's on a delicate chain across their brow. At her temple, the statue of Luna has twin wolves at her feet. We will get to that shit later. And across her back, there's a bow of solid gold with silver arrows.
In that temple, a small door leads to the chamber where the stag sacrifices, there's our Terrasen
Terrasen.
connection, are prepared. And both wolves and Fae claim Luna as their patron goddess.
Knowing what we know about the shifters now, that they're Fae from another world, it's not too crazy of a jump to assume that when they came through to Midgard, they brought their gods, their traditions, their words and phrases and names, like Lumus became Luna, Deanna, there's Rune, the Rune Mountains with 2 N's, and Wyrd becoming Erd.
Yeah, those are very close names too.
Mhm.
So it wasn't too much of a stretch.
Well, and we see that in real history of how things change and evolve over time.
Yeah. And of course, they brought their religious beliefs with them. Just as Erd is the bastardized version of Wyrd, according to the Underking, could Luna be Midgard's bootleg Deanna?
And could they both be connected to the mother and the cauldron?
Like Nesta said in Flame and Shadow, the Fae say the cauldron holds our fates. Maybe this became Erd.
And there is a huge Nesta connection with Silver Eyes and Silver Flame that we will get to in Empire of Storms.
So you could say the creation stories in ACOTAR, the mother and the cauldron, are similar to the one we just heard about Loomis and the great goddess.
And we're not even to the 3-faced goddess yet, y'all.
Yeah, that one's the mother, the maiden, and the crone.
And when we get to the witches, I mean, we have a lot. We're going to calm our tits.
Oh, there's witches coming?
No, there's no witches.
No witches. But anyway, chapter 38 opens with Celaena getting ready for the Yulemas Ball that she wasn't invited to.
She
Love
keeps
that.
getting ready for these parties she's not invited
I love
to.
that she's like, we're going and I don't care. The first ball that she's been to where she wasn't there to kill somebody.
Her dress isn't pure white, but it's like this grayish, which originally I was like, gray? Because Caltaine, I kind of had the same thought Caltaine does, where we're like, gray at a party? But I have seen some really pretty fan art of this, and I will post it on our Instagram stories. I can't remember the name of the artist, but there's one that I was like, oh my God, it's gorgeous.
I think the way they describe what's on the dress, if it had been like actually white, the crystals and swirls wouldn't have popped.
It is grayish with wide skirts and a bodice encrusted with thousands of tiny crystals. Probably what we're going to be wearing to the Nashville Fantasy Ball.
Yes, handmade.
It makes it look like the surface of the sea with swirls of silk thread on the bodice make rose-like designs and a border of ermine, which I think that's fur, right?
Mhm.
It lines the back and the slender sleeves. Tiny diamond drops fall from her ears, and her hair is swept up with strands of pearls woven in. It's so dreamy.
It's dreamy, but it also sounds extremely wealthy because usually, like, um, the royalty would wear cloaks and dresses that had ermine lining the edges. So
Mhm.
it just sounds like big money.
Makes you wonder who paid for it, where she got it.
But, like, really, these dresses are just laying around, like, hand sewn with crystals, but it sounds gorgeous. She's wearing a gray silk mask with crystal and pearl whorls.
Swirls and motherfucking whirls. Luckily, she doesn't become Lady Death when she puts it on.
Great news. She asks Philippa where in Aurelia she found the dress, but she tells Celaena not to ask questions, and the two rush out the door in a hurry to confuse the guards.
The fact no one questions her, pretty privilege. She looks fucking great. But also, it demonstrates how everyone in the castle has just grown to trust her and become comfortable around her.
Mhm.
That they
So
even allow this. Because I feel like in the beginning, the second she stepped, it would have been like swords drawn. I don't care where you're going.
well, and I know we commented earlier in the episode that maybe Chaol had chilled out a little bit and the guards were giving her a little bit more space,
Mhm.
but maybe Chaol didn't instruct them to do that. Maybe they've just grown to trust her and she's
Right.
kind of lulled them into a sense of, I guess, they've
Which I
backed
mean, if
off.
she was playing them, they're like falling into it.
Yeah, they fell right in. But it's also not just Dorian and Chaol that are relaxing around her.
Rest puffs up his chest because he's like, I'll escort you.
I will take you down.
I do like that
Poor
character.
Rest. He's gonna be in so much trouble.
He escorts her to the top of the stairs, and a new bombshell has entered the villa. She
Boom.
gets to the top, and everyone's like,
Who's that? It's very Rose at the top of the stairs in Titanic.
"That's the only thing I could think of." Like, I know that there's other, I don't
But
know,
I mean, that's what it is.
movies,
Everybody's
TV
turning to see
shows.
her entrance, you know? Everybody's already there. So they're like, who is this? Celaena's turning heads, y'all, including Dorian's.
Hmm.
He wants to walk to her to take her hand, but when she reaches the bottom of the stairs, Chaol is already there with his hand extended like a militarized Jack Dawson.
He doesn't take her to the dance floor, but he pulls her into a shadowy corner, and not for the reason that we want.
Boring.
Chaol, either get off my back or break it. Those are the two options.
While he's whisper yelling at her about party crashing, Celaena is scoping out the room and
I
she
love though
spots.
that he's like he'll be screaming, like he's whisper yelling, and she's like, whatever, whatever, whatever. And she's
Yeah,
like
but
looking around the
she's
party.
definitely like, uh-huh,
Uh
totally.
huh.
Yeah, I can't believe
Right.
it. But she spots Nehemia with the Queen of Otterlin, and Nox is there.
Nox, the jewel thief, or like the thief, is here. And you want me to be like, so not only do you have other champions here, other criminals here, you want me to be the king's champion. You're going to have to trust me a little bit. Like, that's something else that I'm not sure Chaol is really understanding. If she wins, she's no longer gonna be
She's
like
not
a
going to be
guarded,
escorted.
yeah.
Yeah. It just, if I was her, I would be so lit because it's just like the Samhain feast all over again. Everybody else is there and I had to stay in my room.
Mhm.
That's unbelievable. Chaol lets her go, but he rides her ass, following her around the party.
Meanwhile, Dorian is dancing with Tits McGee, and Celaena's like, "Did he not notice my arrival? Because I had a very good arrival."
Oh, he
He
noticed.
noticed. An hour and 0 dances later, Celaena is approached by Nehemia, who's back on her thick accent shit. It would be hard to not be like,
Interesting.
interesting.
Nehemia is going back to her room, saying she isn't feeling well with something that looks like pain shining in her eyes.
And with Nehemia goes Celaena's whole excuse for being there, but she's like, I guess I should stay just in case.
Yeah.
Chaol's nosy ass sees what's going on, and he's like, what's going on with you and Nehemia? But like, get out of here.
What, are we friends now? You're going to have to make up your mind there, Chaol.
And get out of here because no one's going to ask me to dance with you scowling beside me.
But really, I mean, if you're going to be here, do you want to dance?
I know, she's like, we might as well dance. And he laughs in her face.
Excuse me, sir. Excuse me. It doesn't feel good when people laugh in your face, does it?
Does it?
It's a hard pass because Parrington is here and it's too risky. But if he weren't here, I would have said yes.
I mean, but aren't there other ladies here that you want to dance with?
I'm the captain of the guard. I'm not exactly a catch for any of them.
That makes me. I had like a couple reactions to that. It's sad, but then it's also like, shut up. Like, I don't know. It's like incel behavior.
I don't want to feel bad for Chaol because he's so pompous sometimes it gets under my skin. But at the same time, he was born a lord.
Yes.
So although he doesn't have his title, That's how
You're
quickly
not
the
just
women
in
are.
the gutter.
I mean, I still come from noble birth, but the women are very quickly like, don't care.
I mean, yeah,
Which is
and
kind of
there's
sad.
if he's looking out at the women on court, but like you can't tell me in all of Rifthold there aren't women who want to ride Chaol's scow.
But seriously, you go around with Dorian all the time, and I know that boy's not only hitting up noble women, so come on. Celaena hypes him up. You're better than everyone in here. You're very handsome.
But she isn't just rizzing him up. She does see beauty in Chaol's face and his strength and his honor and his loyalty. But if someone were like, no, I can see your beauty. Your beauty is in this. But is my beauty in my beauty?
Yeah, but I want to be beautiful. It might be a little bit too much of hyping on that last one, though.
Yeah, they have a moment, but then our baby girl slides up looking alarmingly handsome.
I'm like, what does that even mean?
Alarmingly. It's
One,
like,
I mean, one might say that Dorian's tunic matches Celaena's dress.
I guess Reese's mom made it.
Ooh.
Dorian is like, well, since you snuck in, like we might as well dance. And Chaol tries to shoot it down because it attracts too much attention.
Sure, Jan.
Sure, Jan. She watches Chaol go for a moment, but then Dorian caresses her back and she's like, Chaol, who?
I mean, but seriously, she takes Dorian's hand and they spin and waltz and dance after dance passes.
Dorian suppresses his urge to kiss her because after this ball, she's turning into a very dangerous, murdery little pumpkin.
But also, like, everybody can see you.
Yeah.
What are you doing? And Chaol is off to the side scowling.
As is Parrington.
So are the ladies of the court when Dorian stays with the same dance partner for multiple songs.
The scandal.
But seriously.
Chaol is mean. He's just over on the side scowling and he's like, you know what? I'm glad I didn't work up the nerve to ask her to dance.
I mean, she literally asked you, but okay.
Yeah, worked up the nerve. You know who would have asked her to dance? That orc.
Okay, nope.
With the high pony.
Nope.
Or that minotaur.
Okay, probably the minotaur because he's a gentleman. A courtier named Otho is like, who's that babe? And after Chaol answers, Otho asks if this lady Lillian is with Dorian. And when Chaol says she isn't, he's like, weird, because it looks like he's in love with her.
He just drops this bomb and then walks off. And it's like, if you ever watch How I Met Your Mother, the glass shattering, Chaol does a double take and it all comes into focus. Like Dorian has not taken his eyes off of Celaena once. His expression is full of joy and wonder. Like even his posture is better.
He looks like a king because Celaena makes him feel like the man he wants to be.
Okay, sure. He's like an internal, like, yeah, sure, but like that doesn't mean that she loves him. Unrelated, I'm leaving. I'm fine. I'm totally unaffected, but I'm done.
I mean, poor Chaol. Chaol is not the only one that's been watching. Cauldron is filled with rage and agony and meth.
I mean, first of all, she's spiraling. Everyone's internally spiraling. And she's like, who wears gray to a ball?
Dorian.
I mean, they are matching.
Yes.
Cauldron, by the way, is wearing bright shades of blue, emerald, and brown with a peacock mask.
You're tacky and I hate you.
It's so tacky. It's all from Parrington, of course. Speaking of Parrington, he is popping bottles like a G6.
That sounds like that should be fun, but oh well. And telling a man no is even harder when he's drunk, as any woman can attest to.
So while Cauldron is plotting Lady Lillian's destruction and Dorian is getting her a drink, Celaena slips out of the ball. She has both of her glass slippers, but she kind of does the Irish goodbye.
I mean, that doesn't stop Dorian from following her back to her rooms, though.
But you know that the guards are like in a group chat being like, guess who just showed up?
Uh-oh. Dorian?
And Chaol's like, what?
They're like, ooh, forgot you're in here. Dorian walks up to Celaena and braces an arm against the wall beside her head.
And he kisses her.
It finally happened.
He kisses her.
But even better, she kisses him back. She's putting her hand on his shoulder and his arm slips around her waist to hold her tightly to him.
Which, wow, things have really changed since he picked me up in Endovier, mostly to annoy his father, the man I hate most in the world.
And the moment is over.
Because she's internally like, wow, things have changed.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Can't just enjoy it because her brain starts twisting over these thoughts. But she doesn't stop him as he kisses her goodnight.
One kiss and Dorian walks out of the room and he's like, I'm going to figure out a way for us to be together. Consequences be damned.
He's such a romantic.
Dorian is baby girl. He's so romantic. Celaena, nope, that's you.
It's all for Celaena. Celaena walks out onto her balcony where Chaol watches her waltzing alone.
That's
Bro, are you just like
time.
creeping under my window?
It's very What's the, Cyrano? Where he's, like, underneath the window telling someone else what to say? It just reminds me of that, of, like,
Oh,
always
yeah.
off to the side watching.
I mean, but she never even bothers to look below, but, like, why would she?
He's such a little Eeyore.
But,
We
like, why would she know you're creeping in
Why
the
would she
garden?
know that? I mean, she's an assassin, maybe she should know, but yeah.
She should be aware of her surroundings, you're right.
But that's how, like, affected she is by Dorian, that you know?
Yeah.
And that's not the only time we'll see her dancing alone. We jump ahead to the next morning with Celaena being woken up by puppy kisses and Dorian, who took the newly named Fleetfoot out at dawn with the other dogs.
I just Fleetfoot doesn't really roll off the tongue, but okay.
I mean, she's like looking at her big paws.
Yeah, I understand where it came from. I'm just like, I don't know that I have a better name. Don't get me wrong. I'm like Fleetfoot. Okay.
But the fact that Dorian even showed up that morning and started doing all these
Yeah, it's
things,
just what Celaena asked him to do when she accepted Fleetfoot.
and he
Very
let her
thoughtful.
sleep in, like, he did all that without waking her
It's
up.
literally a literal dream. Do you come with breakfast?
No, just a bunch of candy. He apologizes if he was too forward last night, and they go back and forth like, "I didn't hate it. Wait a minute, so you liked it?" And then everyone's blushing. Like, it's just very I keep saying this, it's very juvenile, not in a bad way, but in, like, a very sweet way.
Yeah, but it's also like they're letting their guards down, like they're being vulnerable with
Mhm.
each other. It wasn't Selena's first kiss, that was with Sam, and we'll learn more about him in Assassin's Blade.
Which I haven't decided if we're gonna do that 3rd or 4th. I mean, I'll let you know way in advance. I'm thinking 3rd, but
Okay.
yeah, we're gonna Assassin's Blade is more an emotionally damaging one, but it gives a lot of context.
Yeah, I mean, we'll hear more about Sam as the story goes on in general, but Assassin's Blade is like his story.
Mhm.
So Selena's walking to the balcony and she gives Dorian a full view of her scarred back. And he says, "Your scars are awful."
Thanks. I'm aware they're awful.
I mean, like, what an intro. Thank you. She tells him, "We all bear scars, Dorian. Mine just happen to be more visible."
It's like, "The scars remind us the past is real."
Wow. I mean, but it's true. She's pretty fucking deep for an 18-year-old.
She's deep, but I could also see me putting that as my away message on AIM when I was a teenager. Like, it would be, "We all bear scars." It would be, like, in a pink font, and every other word would be
Oh,
capitalized.
no. I forgot about that.
Meanwhile, in the palace greenhouse, Caltaine is walking with Parrington and his broken capillaries, and he does that thing where he picks a flower and hands it to her, like, "For you," which probably,
Wow.
if it had been Dorian, I'd be like, "Oh my god," but
But, like,
because it's him, it's,
also
"Thanks.
so much forethought. Thank you. Also, now I have to carry this.
Thanks so much." The Duke's black eyes, why is she not more concerned? The Duke's black eyes see everything, including Caltaine thirsting after Dorian last night at the ball.
The black ring on his meaty finger pulses. Both of those things pulses, and her head throbs in pain in response.
That's so weird.
He takes her interest to mean that Caltaine is concerned about Lady Lillian, who Parrington knows damn well is Celaena.
And just like with Kane, Parrington tells this bitch everything, which is like a huge security risk. Like,
It is, but he also can see he's like, oh, this is going to be so easy with her. And he's like, how can we allow the prince to endanger himself like that?
Dorian's the one who went and got her. Like, what do you mean in danger? He's fully aware of who
Yes.
she is. And Parrington's face shifts to something pained and ugly,
But like he's always ugly?
uglier.
Okay.
Caltaine notices, but she can't concentrate over the pounding in her head. So it's not like she's completely missing these red flags. It's just as soon as she starts thinking about it, she's like, "Oh," like there's like a sharp pain.
Yeah. Definitely something to distract her from the thoughts.
And she left her spoon and lighter in the room. So
Yikes. This is when Parrington's covert planning becomes overt. He tells Caltaine that after the final duel, the champions will drink a toast in honor of the goddess and gods. He wants Caltaine to preside over it as a representation of the goddess.
and slip Celaena a little something something in the process.
Not enough to like kill Celaena, that'd be too obvious, but a dose of bloodbane, which we learned in the poisons test, causes hallucinations and disorientation.
Caltaine does, to her credit, kind of push back. She's like, "Can't Kane kill Celaena on his own?" And that's when her head starts throbbing in response. So,
Yikes.
what on earth is going on in the House of Commons?
As soon as the headache sets in, she's like, yeah, no, the drugging idea makes sense. And when Celena's dead, Dorian will be mine.
I mean,
So tell me what I need to do.
And that's what we'll pick up next week with Celaena learning more about wyrdmarks and word gates and coming face to face with whatever has been killing the champions in chapters 41 through 50.
Yikes. But before we go, in case you haven't seen the news, Amazon's Fourth Wing TV series has a showrunner, Moira Wally Beckett.
The show was first put into development in October 2023, so it is moving forward pretty quickly as far as these things go, especially when you compare it to ACOTAR.
Which is smart to capitalize on the popularity.
I do like that Rebecca Yarros is listed as an executive producer, so hopefully it means it'll stay close to the books.
Yes.
And the showrunner is legit. Like, that is a legit showrunner. She was a writer and co-producer on Breaking Bad, and she created Anne with an E. I don't know if I haven't seen that, but I did watch Flesh and Bone, which she was also
I watched
involved
the
with.
original Anna Green Gables show, so I haven't watched the new one, but I'm sure it's really good.
Yeah, it has good reviews, but again, like Breaking Bad, we have a
That has
while.
amazing reviews, yeah.
That's like, I don't wanna say that's not a step down. That's just a very different genre.
Mhm.
So, we still have we still have a while to go. Like, there's gonna be writers and casting, and, like, this is, like, the first step, but
But
it's a
at least
step.
it's moving forward, and
Right.
these are, like, strong steps forward. How many books are planned for that series, by the way?
I think Rebecca said 5, but they're all planned out. So it's not
Nice.
like a George R.R. Martin situation where Game of Thrones went off the rails because he hadn't finished the story and he stepped back from the show. So
Yeah,
he wasn't even involved in the later seasons, and that's why some of that crazy shit happened.
but
But
also,
I
like,
don't
if
see that happening
I was
here.
gonna say, if she's listed as, executive producer, hopefully that means that she'll work very closely with them when guiding the show to kinda,
Yeah.
like, follow the books. Also, hopefully we'll get some ACOTAR news
I
soon.
really thought that we would get it in the spring and that it would be Elaine. Like, I just people have looked at when other ACOTAR announcements came, and it seems like we're past the point.
It
We should have
does.
gotten something.
Yeah, that would have made sense, but, maybe she's waiting for autumn and it's gonna be Lucy?
I would take a Tamlin book. I mean, I'd take a Tamlin book anytime.
Just because we need an
Sorry, not
update.
sorry.
Oh, okay, well, we'll see you guys next week. We're gonna do a Throne of Glass chapters 41 through 50.
And if you're a fan of House of the Dragon, we are releasing new episodes every Sunday.
Thanks, y'all.
Thanks.